Hello, I'm Morgyn Danae, and I am here to support you to connect with your joy, to connect with your body in a positive way, and to develop a lifestyle that is manageable to be able to practice this in your life.
Get excited because you can find calm in your chaotic life. That voice that says it's impossible is total mind BS. Morgyn, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And I have to tell you, there was a point in my life, especially when my kids were young, where I could not connect with joy. I did not know how to find my joy. I felt like the joy was supposed to come from, these beautiful children, but mostly I just felt exhausted and frustrated. And then I felt guilty for feeling exhausted and frustrated. And so then I went and I signed up for an art class, you know what I mean? Because art brings me joy. And then I just found it to be more work because I had to make dinner for the kids and find a babysitter and go out to my art class, which was exhausting. And then it was late. And then I had to get up early the next morning. And I felt so frustrated. So help us figure out how we can bring more joy into our busy lives.
Yes, and what you're saying, Christina, too, is so common, of course, and making that effort, putting it all together, and then being frustrated. And I know so many mothers go through that, and just to like honor that you're doing a huge job, and that it takes a lot, you know. And so, yeah, so basically, I want to break it down to kind of it being about simplicity and the simple things, the little things to start with, because we want to kind of build that joy, and sometimes we're looking for something really huge to change on the outside or things to be so much easier than they are. Um, and sometimes that's not what's going to happen. So it's about being able to cultivate from the inside that sense of being your where the aim is joy just by being. And so little things like um being able to connect into the present moment is a huge thing. We've got so many things running in our minds. Being able to focus on what are the little things that I'm going to have gratitude for. Gratitude is a huge piece because that starts to get the wheel going in terms of building that momentum, because we want to think in terms of momentum. And that does have to do with tuning in back into ourselves, being present in ourselves, literally taking a moment to connect back, because we are ourselves beings of joy and love. And our hearts are so rich when we take a moment. So we're not just out there, trying to navigate everything and also looking for something outside that's going to, kind of save us, so to speak. We do want positive things in our lives on the outside, but taking that moment to tune into our hearts, literally to tune back into our spirits, our souls. And from that place of tuning in, that helps us to come back to our bodies, because we can't really cultivate a sense of simple joys. That's what children do, right? That's what we did as children. Joy is a very simple place. We're kind of joyful about all kinds of things. And so really being able to like take it down a notch to the simple things, like what about nature? What about enjoying nature? What about moving our bodies for a moment, taking a moment, stopping for a second? You don't have to get the fancy outfit, set aside all this time. You can do all that, but take a moment, put on a song that you love. And if you're talking about, mothers with children, well, that's a whole other thing, right? Because they've got so many responsibilities going on at the same time. Put on that song, dance with your children, bring in that simple kind of childlike joy, the wonder of looking at trees when you're outside. And I'm kind of this can get very deep, but I'm kind of starting at that kind of level of simplicity.
So you kind of touched on it, but one of the biggest frustrations when I started my healing journey was these terms like come back into your body or tune back into yourself. And I'm like, I want to so bad, but I don't know what to do. So if somebody's not sure what to do, can you help them get started?
Some people, they don't feel like they can be still for very long, because when we get still, when we sit still and just kind of get present for a moment, or we, you know, try to stop the thoughts in our head and that kind of thing, it can be just overwhelming when you're not familiar with this at all. So giving yourself, really, like I said, it's kind of like spoonfuls of love, of self-love and nurturing, right? To remember that this is about love. It really is. Start with that. This is about loving yourself. This is about the fact that you deserve to love yourself. You deserve to be loved, that you're worthy of love, that you are loved. We can bang our heads against the wall forever trying to achieve some outward status, some outward standard, whether it's a beauty standard, or if you're talking about mothers, like what is a good mother or a good father, a good wife, good husband, good whatever, success, all of these things. But if we're not coming from a foundation of saying that we are worthwhile, we're worthy, just by being, just by existing, that we come from someplace really beautiful. We're made of something really beautiful.
Yeah.
To start with just our essence, our beingness is valuable. So that we're not kind of always chasing that. Doesn't mean we can't have goals and aspirations. Of course, we want to keep growing and pushing ourselves in that way to um, make our dreams come true, or whatever that is, and keep growing and becoming a better person, or whatever, better at our craft, whatever that is. But if we're not coming from a foundation of feeling like we're worthy and we're valuable just by being, we're just spinning our wheels, because it's not that income bracket or that award or that whatever compliment from somebody else even that is going to give you your foundation.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know that it's so hard for some people because growing up, we were often criticized for just being,
Of course,
or called
yes,
lazy, or, like get your chores done. Come on, get your homework done. Like, and anytime we're trying to just be, there's a task to do, there's something to do, and we only get praised for doing those tasks. So another term that frustrated me was love yourself. Just love yourself. And I'm like, I don't know how. I want to, but I don't know how. If it seemed like this like really big barrier to me. And what I've discovered over time is that when I talk about loving my children, it means so many things. It means nourishing them, taking care of their physical needs, taking care of their emotional needs, giving them a hug when they need it, just
yeah,
loving them who they are as they are, with all of their hot mess and all of their awesomeness. And that's
yeah,
what it means. And so
yes.
giving yourself that is so critical. Tell me more about your self-love journey and how you came to, love yourself, and how you would advise somebody who's coming into this going, I don't know how, I don't know what, to
Yes,
take steps towards this.
absolutely. And, that's such an important question, such a great, everything you're sharing. It's so, so important, because we can all relate to that. I mean, I wouldn't be, I'm just like straight out, I would not be alive today if I had not,
Yeah.
I literally would not be alive today if I had not learned to love myself, in a concrete way. And it is still a process, and it is a lifelong journey. So it's not like, oh, I love myself perfectly. I'm still, of course, come on, but there's a foundation. But my shift really started, and then I had many years that I had to walk through with, like, you know sabotaging myself, breaking down, going through severe mental illness, all kinds of things, and health issues. But my turning point was really being able to work with a spiritual teacher and guide who was teaching me pragmatically about self-love. And I was 25 and my body was starting to break down. I mean, I was at that turning point. So I kind of started young,
Yeah.
because then I started getting training by the time I was 28 to be a spiritual healer, spiritual guide. But it really started with being willing to learn to do this thing that is called loving the self. What does that mean? Because it's going to change your life. And it is going to be dealing with, yes, your story, our stories. It's not about making everybody in our life stories bad, but it's recognizing the impact of fear-based reality.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for just sharing those huge vulnerabilities. I appreciate that so much. And I am so curious to hear about this foundation. You've talked a couple of times about the foundation of self-love, the foundation that, brought you to love yourself.
Yeah.
If you were to describe this intangible thing, how would you describe that? Or how would you think the steps would be?
I mean, I can speak from the way I was taught, right? I taught that the foundation of love is integrity, honor, respect, being real and telling the truth. I didn't
And
get it down
truly,
perfectly
the
by any
foundation was
means,
very much in
like it was a
self-care and
process. Practices that were about, talking about, for example, how your childhood impacted you and understanding that our hearts get locked away, they get shut down in certain ways to be able to kind of cope because we all want to be loved. We all want to be loved, you know? And it can look different ways and we can really sabotage ourselves, but nevertheless. And so really being able to start to recognize, where did I start to learn that it was only about, like, as you mentioned, like focusing on other people to get love, instead of understanding that if I loved myself and filled myself with that kindness and care and understanding and listening and finding out what was important to me, what I valued, and valuing it and saying, yeah, that's beautiful, let me, or understanding if my feelings got hurt. Okay, I'm sorry you're feeling that. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, just even acknowledging the feelings, not necessarily even trying to take care of them per se, but just being given the space to have your feelings. So, it's about starting to look at, what do I feel is true for me? And what did I feel was true for me growing up? What was my truth really in my heart? Starting to kind of tap that back into who you know yourself to be. Any bit of sense of the authentic you that you can connect back to. Does that make sense?
that totally makes sense. And I love what you're saying. You're talking about almost having a conversation with, a version of yourself, whether that's your today
Yes.
version, saying, what am I feeling right now? Oh, I might be feeling this, or, going through that.
Yeah, it's a relationship with the self.
It is absolutely a relationship.
It has to
And
be.
yes. And there's all sorts of, little selves I find in there that have
Yes.
missed out. And so it's a relationship with our younger selves too. And so you're talking about, going through your childhood and saying, how was I feeling in that moment and validating it, as well as maybe even talking to that younger you with a grown-up lens and saying,
Yes,
well,
very
you
much.
perceived it this way, but really, was it your responsibility to take that on as an 8-year-old or whatever,
Hugely important. Yes, you become an ally to that
Yes.
younger self and you begin to reparent. It's, again, all respect to parents, it's like, but, because they didn't learn about these things. These weren't things were taught, spoken of, but that inner parent, that inner mother, inner
Mhm.
father, inner caregiver.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's like a big part to me about loving yourself. And just like, loving a child, it's not something you can do for a day or a retreat or a weekend. Like this is an ongoing
Exactly.
forever thing. So tell me how this works in your lifestyle. Tell me what practices you have going on to keep this going so that you continue to love yourself and grow and blossom into the beautiful human that you were always meant to be.
Um, Taking care of myself. We're going to use that also now a buzzword, but it's very important. Self-care um, is non-negotiable. This is the way I approach my practices. This is a matter of life or death. This is no joke. There's nothing frivolous about this. Making that conscious decision that I'm worthy of the time and my own time and attention and
Yeah.
care and love. And whatever that looks like, so if for you that means you can take 5 minutes out in your day to be connected with yourself, to breathe, to consciously say, what do I need? Or let me just slow down for a moment, or whatever it is, kind of reprioritizing things that you may have set up for the next day, whatever it is. It's recognizing that you're you are worthy of that. So for me, that looks like journaling. So I have something, I do practice called morning pages, if you've heard of that, from the artist way. And so taking that time to write out thoughts or feelings on paper. So I have what for me personally, I call my temple time. And that's where I'm sitting in meditation, I am sitting in prayer, and I'm not only I'm definitely praying for myself, but I'm also praying for others, specific people, families, sometimes situations in the world or the world in general. So that connection to my higher power. And I work with creative visualization. So I really believe in we can take on a lot of things, right? We can call it stress, but really focusing with the breath and visualization to clear my energy, grounding ourselves. That means instead of just being kind of caught up in our heads, we start to kind of focus again to connect back into the earth with our energy. That's kind of visualizing sending a cord from say the base of your spine down like like an umbilical cord, down into the core of the earth to anchor in, or roots from the soles of your feet. You can do that like in 2 seconds. You can be at the grocery store, and you can do it as many times a day as you need to.
So can you tell me about that transformation once they do learn to reconnect with their bodies and feel valuable for just being and develop that, lifestyle of presence and love and gratitude, how does that shift them?
It brings people back to it's like you can see more, they're more present in their own lives, they're able to handle things more clearly. A lot of the time, honestly, it's going to look like having clearer boundaries with the people in their lives as well,
Mm-hmm.
with their work as well, with rate. Another big thing is the standards get raised, the standards for what we will and will not accept in our lives, the way we will and will not be treated, and the way we will and will not treat others as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We feel less like victims and more like um, we really are creating our lives. People start to feel able to start to make positive changes in certain areas of their lives where they felt stuck or couldn't decide or didn't feel like they deserved it. The body, different issues in the body, often that have been long standing, begin to heal.
Yeah.
People start to feel safe in their bodies. Like they can now start to be present with whatever feelings are in there that have to come up. And being able to start to process, have the tools to start to process feelings instead of kind of diverting yourself from them.
So it sounds like if I were to summarize it, that the big transformation is almost like sovereignty
Yes.
over your time, your environment, your beliefs, your patterns, your relationships, your choices that you get to make. And the biggest one is this sort of sovereignty over yourself, your circumstances, and your body. You
Yes,
get to choose,
exactly.
have the power to
Yes.
choose. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you tuned right into that. And I don't always use that word. I love that word, sovereignty. But people, like It's probably going to be a word that now people are going to start to recognize more because it's such an important one.
Mm,
Yes, sovereignty for sure. And body sovereignty is a huge piece
huge.
for everybody, especially think about as children. Come on, like as children, like where were we taught to respect our bodies and have boundaries, right?
Never. Kiss grandma.
Body image, all of it, right? Exactly. Not to mention abuse levels, right? All of this.
Yes.
Yeah, we could go on and on about that one. It's a huge one. Yes, you got it.
So if people want to learn more about you, Morgyn, and what you do and how you can help them, where should they go?
Yes, so I have a website, morgandanae.com. So if you see that you're interested in doing some one-to-one work, then I do offer a free, clarity call for that as well to explore. I also have a YouTube channel, which I'm really starting to build now. That's where I really want to make my home. That feels like my nervous system likes that. I can't deal with too much. So I'm building my home there. So I do invite you there. That's Morgyn Danae Wellness.
Fantastic. So I will put all of Morgyn's links in the description below. So
Okay.
Morgyn has a free resource on her blog that's called Belly Love and Why We Need It. Morgyn, what's belly love?
Okay. Well, break it down. It is exactly what it sounds like. Yes. So belly love is tools to connect with yourself, your body, and your power.
Wow,
You're going
that
to learn a
sounds
lot
amazing.
more about its significance. Yes, it's
Yes,
very connected to that.
I want to connect with my power too. So I will check out that resource. And before we sign off today, is there any last thought you want to leave our audience with?
I actually wanted to invite you to sign up for my free newsletter too, if that is of interest.
What can they
Um,
expect from your free newsletter?
that is going to have insights and guidance again for living in a way that is connected to yourself, connected to love, connecting in with community as well, and it's really supporting you to have a different perspective on life that gives you more of a sense of possibility and joy.
All right. And so they can find your newsletter on your website?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Find that link to our newsletter down below and sign up so that you can start incorporating these amazing practices into your lifestyle. So thanks so much for being here, Morgyn. Bye.
Thank you so much, Christine. It was great.
Hit subscribe and let's see if we can make life balance the norm.